Restoring Men in History. We want you men to have control of your life, not the government controlling it. Price controls, just like climate control, just like gun control, is another way to control your life, impede your business, detract from your standard of living. We want your standard of living to increase and you to pursue happiness in the way you wish. So we're going to take a look at Kamala Harris clips here and what she wants to do for price controls and more centralized government and communism. Let's take a look. At first, let's read this quote. If the federal government was ever placed in control of the Sahara Desert, within 5 years, there would be a sand shortage. Milton Friedman, of course, he was a great economist and stood against price controls. Let's take a look at clip one.
A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. Many of the big food companies are seeing their highest profits in 2 decades.
So if you want lower prices at the kitchen table, more money to spend, more purchasing power, you do not want this plan. It has failed. It failed under Nixon. It failed in the Roman times. It has historically failed to set price controls. What did it do under Nixon? Caused shortages and gas lines. If you like our message, please like, comment, and subscribe. It historically has done that, so that's not what we want. Not her plan. The way to do it is to decrease the spending and also make sure you blame the right bad guys. Decrease the spending of the Fed and the federal government. Decrease that budget. Cut that spending. And let's make sure we blame the right bad actors. It's the federal government that is the bad actor, Kurt. It is the Fed that is a bad actor. So Milton Friedman says the primary, or one of the primary concerns, is to blame the correct bad actors. She's blaming businessmen. The correct bad actors to blame are federal government spending and the Fed. Federal government spending and the Fed. We really can't say it enough. And it's important that you recognize that and place it on them. So the last thing we want to do is give government more control over you. Look at everything they've gotten into. Education, when they backed government loans, education went up. When they got involved in healthcare with Medicare, health cost went up. All right? Now, energy is a key. Energy is one of the keys to your standard of living. So we can drill. We can do more exploration, hand out more leases, and then lower the cost of your energy. So what rules are we going to play by? Totalitarian and government setting the rules or the market rules? We need to live by the market rules in a free market. Okay, let's go to clip 2.
And while many grocery chains pass along these savings, others still aren't. Look, I know most businesses are creating jobs, contributing to our economy, and playing by the rules. But some are not. And that's just not right. And we need to take action when that is the case.
So right, take action with more control over your life. Reducing your standard of living, causing shortages. Again, the wrong answer. Government is the bad actor here. The Fed and the spending of the federal government, they are the bad actors. So we would not want to reward them with more power and control over your life. We don't want to move to communism. Clip 3.
As Attorney General in California, I went after companies that illegally increased prices, including wholesalers that inflated the price of prescription medication, and companies that conspired with competitors to keep prices of electronics high. I won more than $1 billion for consumers. So believe me, as president, I will go after the bad actors. And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gauging on food.
So instead of punishing, Jeff's favorite thing, instead of the government taking accountability, and right, government doesn't like to take accountability for their mistakes. So when the Fed and the spending $35 trillion, they make mistakes, they like to blame inflation on something other than themselves. But government caused it. So obviously giving the bad actor more control or power over your life would not be the correct answer. And giving them the power to punish you, they should be punished. Their powers should be reduced. We should return them to their enumerated powers, restore the Constitution, And to be fair, bailouts cost money. So also the federal government shouldn't be favoring big business with big bailouts. Too corrupt to fail, I called it. The federal government should not be choosing which businesses get to stay open and closed, or nor to set prices. And we're mainly talking about, she's talking about gouging companies here, right? Gouging businesses. So she wants to do this price stop. It won't work, and it's not good for innovation on drugs. It's not good for innovation in energy. It's just simply not good. They're anti-oil, anti-energy, and of course the key to your standard of living are low energy prices. And look at all the climate control. Next clip.
My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead. We will help the food industry become more competitive, because I believe competition is the lifeblood of our economy. More competition means lower prices for you and your families.
So again, the bad actor's government, but they want to punish the producers. Ayn Rand talked about this. It's a fantastic book called Atlas Shrugged. Loved it, phenomenal. Read it a long time ago. You should check it out, Atlas Shrugged, punishing the producers instead of the bad actor, the government. So she says food industry more competitive. How do you make it more competitive? Reduce regulations. Get the government out of our lives. Get the federal government out of our lives. Get the federal government back to their enumerated powers. That will increase competition. The answer is less government, not more government. Funny how government never takes accountability and never wants to take responsibility for the problems they've caused in society. And imagine rewarding them for the problems they've caused by giving them more power over your life. The power to set prices, cause shortages, cause lines. Here's the other thing. Industries will go up and down. Some will make more money at some times and less times at other times. We don't need the government. The market will work that out. Value will be determined and rewarded. So remember, for your life, your standard of living, you want the federal government out of your life. You want reduced federal government spending and the Fed taking less actions in spending. The thing and the key is this. If the federal government and the Fed start spending a lot of money and you get inflation of 20% on everything you're buying, that's like a 20% tax on you. But instead of seeing it, you don't see it. So some people don't blame the right bad actor. They blame the businessman. But it's not the businessman who's doing that. It's the federal government who's causing and eating up, right? And savings don't count because they're inflating the money. Inflation, inflation, inflation. So here's the problem. The problem and the bad actors are the government, the federal government and the Fed. So we don't want to give them more power by allowing the federal government to set prices. Unconstitutional, by the way. They have no enumerated power for that to interfere. But also not pragmatic and has failed historically. It failed in Germany, by the way. There's a story of Milton Friedman driving to Germany after the war, I believe it is. And the Allied powers, of course, are dominating Germany, and there's that deal, well, in that part of Germany. And he gets to a gas station. He's run out of gas. And the lady won't take his dollar, I believe it is, and his French money. And he doesn't have German money. So what does he do? And this is what it can lead to, right? The market will set the prices, and there's an economy based on that. But what happens? It turned into a barter economy, and he ends up giving her a carton of cigarettes. So what happens when you start letting the government do this? It destroys the economy. And then you have to go to a barter economy in some cases. And of course, that is if I make cigars and Jeff makes guns, I got to make sure that he wants a cigar when I want a gun, or enough cigars, right? So that's more problematic than just having a market, right? More complicated, more complex, more difficult to trade in that. So let's go with freedom and free markets, not centralized planning, communism, and the government setting prices. Here's to freedom. If you like our message, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.